Just as much of the world has shared our dream of space exploration, so it now shares our grief. And the outpouring of sorrow transcended global conflicts and rivalries today. Mikhail Gorbachev, for example, wired President Reagan saying, "We partake of your grief," and sent his sympathies to the American people and the families of the shuttle victims. Pope John Paul called the astronauts courageous pioneers of progress and said he has offered a special prayer for their souls. From Great Britain, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher said, "New knowledge sometimes demands sacrifice of the bravest and the best." She said, "The spirit of the Challenger crew was the spirit of America and its people." NBC's Jim Bitterman in Paris tonight reports on world reaction from Japan to Cairo.
In Tokyo and Paris, in Frankfurt and Cairo, mankind had shared the step-by-step success of America's space program, and today, mankind shared its loss. As Americans lowered their flags at diplomatic outposts around the world, there was an outpouring of sympathy. It was, a French newscaster explained, that same feeling we had when John Kennedy was killed. In Warsaw, though, there was a sour note. Commentators for the Polish state press used the crash to further their criticism of America's space defense plan. But that kind of reaction was rare. European rocket makers who compete directly with the shuttle for satellite launch business did not gloat over its failure.
We all belong to the space community. We all belong to that kind of world, a challenging world, trying to push the limit of the universe knowledge.
And outside the tightly knit space community, the man on the street in Paris or London or Moscow, confronted with the horror of the shuttle pictures, could not help but feel grief.
Desperately sorry and desperately sad.
I was deeply shocked. I mean, it was just incredible. I just couldn't believe it.
It's a very big loss for humanity, especially the women. In fact, one just wants to cry.
People everywhere identify with those who today are in mourning. In Japan, a distant cousin of Japanese-American astronaut Ellison Onizuka quietly prayed before a Buddhist shrine. And at a high school in Cairo, Egypt, teachers could imagine the feelings at Krista McAuliffe's high school in Concord, New Hampshire.
I felt so sad and really depressed about it in the morning. I just felt so many dreams were lost in less than a minute.
Jim Bitterman, NBC News, Paris.
In other news today, the White House brushed aside the offer by Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi to urge an end to terrorist attacks in Europe if the United States would promise not to attack Libya. Meanwhile, Italian and West German officials said that in recent years, they have been able to prevent some terrorist attacks because of tips by Libyan agents. In Mexico today, an Aero California DC3 crashed near the fog-covered airport at Los Mochis. All 21 people on board the plane were killed. And in Washington, Richard Ling of California was named by an old friend, President Reagan, to be the next Secretary of Agriculture. In the past, Ling has been a spokesman for America's meat packers, and he has come under attack by consumer groups. And there is a new warning tonight about the health dangers of so-called passive smoking. That's secondhand cigarette smoke inhaled from the air by non-smokers. A top official of the Environmental Protection Agency cited evidence linking it to disease. He called for strong steps to protect non-smokers from such exposure.
Senator Stanton!
Yes?
You've got dirty dentures.
No, I just soaked them.
Soaking's not enough. That's why your dentures are dirtier than they should be. Brushing with denture cream cleans denture film much better. Look, when tested against Efferdent, denture cream denture toothpaste gets denture film much cleaner.
Nearly twice as clean.
So don't get caught with dirty dentures. Brush them clean with minty-tasting denture cream or mouthwash fresh denture gel.
It's a winner.
Banker is America's largest full-service real estate company. And these days, you don't get bigger unless you do it better. Coldwell Banker, the home sellers, a member of the Sears Financial Network.
I'm Jane Pauley. Tomorrow morning on Today, the probe into the space shuttle crash.
I'm John Palmer, also actor Kurt Russell and singer Pat Benatar.
Tomorrow morning on Today.
Some have it, some don't. Afrin doesn't have it. Dristan doesn't have it. Only Sinex has it for stuffy noses.
Ooh.
That quick feeling of relief from instantly penetrating Vicks vapors, plus a powerful decongestant that opens nasal passages so you breathe freely.
Ah, complete relief.
For hours and hours, Sinex has it for instant and complete relief in regular and 12-hour extra strength.
From Vicks, of course.
Throughout the nation today, there was special concern about the children, how they were coping with the shock of the shuttle disaster. After all, this was kind of their flight. A school teacher was on board to help educate them about space. Now, as NBC's Garrick Utley tells us tonight, parents and teachers have the difficult task of getting them through a trauma.
At the Franklin School in Newton, Massachusetts today, in Mrs. Hilbert's 4th grade class, it was time for careful teaching and learning.
While it was terribly sad, there were things about it that we want to remember that were good.
They had a dream and they went for it.
And what can that tell us to do?
Go for a dream.
It was natural children focused on school teacher Krista McAuliffe. In schools across the country, the shuttle mission had been promoted as a special event. Many students felt they had come to know her.
What has become clear today is the extent to which Krista McAuliffe, in the eyes of many children, had become a stand-in for every teacher. And a teacher, in turn, for many children, is a stand-in parent. So according to psychologists, this is the chain reaction which can lead from a tragedy in space through a school classroom right into the home.
Well, we certainly can expect insecurity and fear, nightmares. A parent came to me today, a child that never has nightmares, very secure. She's a 6-year-old. She wanted to be an astronaut, and she was up several times last night. One particular nightmare was that they were all driving in their car, and the car blew up.
Teachers report, though, that most students seem to be coping well with the tragedy. At the Brandon School in Atlanta, Joyce Haskins had her class write letters of condolence to the families of the victims. Getting children to talk about the accident they had witnessed is important.
I'm really sorry about what happened yesterday morning. I almost cried when I heard about this tragedy. Don't feel bad. You'll only make things worse, as my grandfather used to say. Sincerely, David Wilson.
Despite the talking and the group therapy, the memory of what so many children have experienced may not fade soon. But in Mrs. Hilbert's class today, the pain was eased.
She did want to go. Did she have the chance to go?
Yes.
Was she on her way?
Yes.
Is it important to be on your way?
Yes.
Even if you don't always get there?
Yes.
Garrick Utley, NBC News.
The irony, of course, is that space, the destination of the Challenger and its crew, space, will play a much larger role in the lives of these youngsters than it will for the rest of us. It is such an important part of their future, and for that future to be fully realized, they will have to be excited about its mysteries, eager for its challenges. To these children, then, will be left the task of fulfilling the unrealized dreams of those who perished en route to space yesterday. That's Nightly News for this Wednesday. I'm Tom Brokaw.